Simone Biles tearing down Riley Gaines and telling her that she should be supporting the trans community and that she lost and that she should accept the fact that she lost is probably the most disgusting thing I've seen in a long time. It's Simone Biles. I don't know who she owes. I don't know who paid her to say that. But it is 100% paid. To go one step further and tweet that Riley Gaines her actual competition and quote unquote pick on somebody your own size would be a male. This is the reason I'm publicly coming out and saying this. I've never been a fan of Simone Biles. She's always been a mean girl. You guys just never paid attention to the signs.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So the backlash continues, even to the point where people are saying that it's too harsh, that perhaps Riley needs to back off, whereas the majority of people seem to believe that it is warranted. Simone went too far by attacking Riley's appearance. Defending males who want to identify as a woman, she turns around and compares a woman to a man, something that has actually been done to black women for the longest time. And people are calling her out for that too. As a black woman, why are you defending an ideology that compares black women to men? We'll get into that as well. So we had the New York Post saying that Riley Gaines' response to Simone Biles was vile. Riley Gaines issues vile response to Olympian Simone Biles' critique of Minnesota trans athlete. Now, a lot of the time, these are clickbait headlines. When you read the article, the actual body of the article doesn't necessarily mirror the headline itself. But in this case, they were basically saying that her response was a low blow in reference to Riley mentioning Dr. Lazier, the monster who abused all those female athletes. But then the New York Post decided to change their headline after receiving a lot of backlash for saying that Riley Gaines' response was vile, when it was simply pointing out the fact that as somebody who has spoken out against against female athletes and who has experienced that, why would you be for men going into women's locker rooms? Why would you be for men competing against female athletes and injuring them? Why would you be for that as a female athlete yourself and as somebody who's advocated for female athletes to be safe? Hey, New York Post, the vast majority of your readers and everyone else is Team Riley Gaines on this. Very poor reading of the room to call the majority response vile. Boys aren't girls, men aren't women. Cheating is cheating. Why so tone deaf? This is the vile response Riley Gaines posted to Simone Biles. How is it vile to want to protect young girls from sexually deviant men, New York Post? Do you think men should be allowed in little girls' locker rooms? It now says this. Riley Gaines pulls no punches with blunt response to Simone Biles' insults in spat over trans athletes. She pulled no punches. Conservative anti-trans activist Riley Gaines couldn't resist going for the low blow in her ongoing online spat with gold medal winning gymnast Simone Biles. And then we have USA Today with another ridiculous headline supporting Simone Biles and saying that it's a sign of her greatness. Defending men competing in women's sports is a sign of her greatness, apparently. And then they proceed to state lies as if they are facts and forget that sports has categories. Simone Biles shows her greatness again in standing up for transgender community. Now, granted, this is an opinion piece, yet when they lie, they don't say that this is my opinion, my uneducated opinion. They make the statement as if it's fact. There is no scientific evidence that transgender women athletes have a physical advantage over cisgender women athletes. First of all, this is somebody still using the term cisgender in 2025. And second of all, this is somebody who just stated something that is inaccurate, that is a lie, as if it was fact. Thirdly, this whole transgender women athletes sounds nice, but what we're referring to is men. That's what we're referring to. We're referring to men. So this is saying that men have no physical advantage over women when it comes to sports, that male athletes have no advantage over female athletes, which is absolutely untrue, because if that was the case, we wouldn't need categories in sports. Male bodies have physical capabilities that female bodies do not possess, and we know this. If it wasn't for categories in sports, women wouldn't be able to participate. It's as simple as that, because of those advantages. Then on top of that, why do they always ignore the fact that a lot of female athletes, especially in our high schools, aren't even competing against males who are on medications, males who are so-called transitioning? Many of them are simply competing against boys who have done nothing but declare themselves to be girls now. So let's not act as if these female athletes are up against weakened male athletes on medications, on a lot of estrogen, who are suppressing their testosterone. A lot of the time, that is simply not the case, because these sporting bodies don't even require that, especially in high school sports. In Connecticut, the girls who are in a court case at the moment, they were competing against boys who are not required to be on anything. And just because a male athlete lowers his performance against other males, so yes, you're on estrogen, you're destroying your body with these medications, and you will lower your performance and your abilities, but only against other males. They still retain advantages over female athletes. That is a fact. And we're not just hormones. We're not just height, Simone Biles. There's a lot more to the differences between men and women than those factors. The USA Today, this is an embarrassment that you would publish such nonsense, and that you would call a female athlete tearing down other female athletes who are coming up behind her, who have to contend with something that she didn't have to contend with. Greatness. And one woman insulting another woman and comparing her to a man is by no means greatness. And unfortunately, all it takes is for people to read headlines. All it takes is for somebody to read an outright lie in a publication and then run with it, because people aren't incapable of thinking for themselves. Apparently, Simone Biles is incapable of thinking for herself.
It makes me think about how we've also seen other women policed in a similar way, which I think, you and I've talked a lot about, something I've talked a lot about online, which is that this isn't new, right? Like you being policed this way or you being ridiculed this way is perhaps new for you, but it's not new for like women's sports, right? No. We've seen this happen repeatedly for especially Black and brown women, any woman that deviates from this like image of womanhood. And I think, I don't know, for me, it's always so important to have people remember that.
Yeah, it's very important for everybody to remember that this policing of trans women and this transphobia is not sort of isolated on its own. It's part of this broader system of trying to police people's bodies and especially women's bodies. And that comes down on mostly marginalized groups, trans women, Black and brown women.
But these types of bans specifically against transgender women in women's category sports are not just going to impact transgender women. These bans impact all athletes in the women's category, because in order to exclude transgender women, you need to know which women are transgender. And this demands policing the entire women's category. At what point is a woman too fast, too strong, too good at her sport to then be accused of being transgender, accused of not being woman enough? This hurts all women, and especially those already deemed not woman enough by some system of oppression. Black women, brown women, trans women, intersex women, the list goes on.
So that person is actually female and wants female athletes to be concerned about being mistaken for a man. Yet we can prove we're female, including this person. It's very easy to do that. I myself was even called out by a male who identifies as a woman because I was defending my friend April Hutchinson, who doesn't want to compete against men. And this person had the nerve to tell me that as a Black woman, I should be siding with him. I should be supporting him, because if it can happen to him, it can happen to me, as if we're the same. Yes. So this is the ideology that Simone Biles supports. This person believes because I'm a Black woman, he has the right to tell me how to think and spew racist rhetoric. This is the same movement that uses terminology such as segregation when we're talking about categories in sports. These are the same people who compare their movement of wanting to cheat, of men wanting to compete in women's sports, to Black women being denied opportunities in sports, and Black men being denied opportunities in sports because of racism. They have convinced people that this is a new civil rights issue. Men wanting to cheat in sports and gain what they couldn't achieve while competing against other men. No. So yes, Simone Biles is being called out for supporting this insanity and supporting something that has perpetuated racism against Black people. Not to mention the Black female athletes who have been denied state championships, who have been denied medals and opportunities, whose scholarships have been affected. And Simone was called out by this person on X called Dr. P. I don't know this person personally. This is an anonymous account because this is the profile picture is Wakanda, Wakanda forever. But I'll read some of the tweet and you can read the full post on my X account. I reposted it. It says, "Dear Simone Biles, as a Western Black woman who's old enough to be your grandmother, I'm going to bring race into this. You are defending trans people, a group that routinely compare Black women to men. We, including you, are regarded as a less feminine, a less appealing iteration of femaleness, who by biology are more analogous to trans women than are our white counterparts. By supporting the concept that one can identify out of or into a chosen demographic, you are also defiling the memory and struggles of our ancestors. How many of them could identify out of being Black? Even those who tried to pass. How many were able to identify out of being called boy or girl or the M word? How many of them were able to identify out of chattel, slavery, and then Jim Crow? The world is real, Simone. We cannot alter it by magical thinking, and nobody is obliged to participate in another person's delusions that they have changed sex." So this is very well written. I'm just reading it in part. She also goes on to say, "You betray all girls, regardless of their race, who want to achieve sporting success. And you worsen this betrayal by comparing Riley Gaines to a man. The very same accusations made against Black women, the very same accusations made against you and your style of gymnastics. And it's not just about what happens in public. Women and girls have been forced to change and shower and undress in front of boys and men. Their public violation is compounded by a loss of privacy, of safety, of bodily autonomy. How can you give tearful testimony against Larry Nassar and so movingly describe the horror you experienced, yet be blind to the horrors faced by other women and girls?" So I just thought that was very, very well said there. So go and read the full version on X. Oh yeah, and just for clarification, Riley Gaines did not lose to Leah Thomas. Riley Gaines tied with Leah Thomas. She tied with a male athlete. She didn't lose to this person. I think they tied fifth, and it was the male athlete who got the trophy because it made for good publicity apparently back then. Certainly wouldn't make for good publicity now. And as we can see, Simone Biles is not receiving good publicity over her tweets.
She goes on to say, "But instead you bully them. One thing's for sure, no one in sports is safe with you around." I can't even make sense of that last part, actually. Then out of the blue, she tweeted this: "Bully someone your own size, which would ironically be a male," which is hilarious, really for two reasons. Number one, she's acknowledging there are differences, like physiological, biological differences between men and women in saying this. Secondly, I'm 5'5", which might seem like a giant to someone who's like 4'7", 4'8", but I'm pretty standard size for a woman. I guess like relatively muscular, right? Being an athlete, I would imagine Simone would understand that, but I weigh like 135 pounds, 5'5", of pretty much pure muscle. And again, if anyone would understand that, you would think it's Simone Biles, a woman who has historically been scrutinized for having a very muscular, masculine looking body. She was scrutinized to the point she did this whole body positivity campaign. Then she has the nerve to say that I look like a man. And not to mention, this is a woman who has been incredibly brave in calling out and witnessing the horrific sexual abuse that she and hundreds of other female gymnasts faced at the hands of one sexual predator, that predator being Larry Nassar. In the same breath, believing that vulnerable women should be forced to strip down naked in front of men in locker rooms so long as it makes the man feel happy. If Larry Nassar came out as trans, would Simone think it's responsible or safe for him to be housed in a women's prison? To be very, very clear, I could care less what Simone Biles says about me. I'm a very secure person. I know I'm on the right side of history. I'm married, so if she wants to say I look like a man, I literally could care less. The most heartbreaking part about this, for me, is the platform that she has and the amount of young girls who look up to her. That she just, in a blink of an eye, sold out to appear to be virtuous. What we saw from Simone is the definition of pulling up the ladder behind you, something people like Megan Rapinoe have also done. I have a feeling that if Simone's inclusive dream came true, she would have 0 Olympic medals and no one would even know who she is.
So it's very disappointing, and Simone has been compared to a female athlete who's removed the ladder for other women and girls who aspire to be the next Simone Biles. Well, I've made it and I've been successful, but you can compete with the men now. If safety and fairness was really a focus, no female athlete should have to deal with this. And yes, Megan Rapinoe, another one who's never had to compete against a male athlete. Another one who's never suffered a broken knee or a concussion as a result of competing against a male athlete. Her virtue signaling is more important. Trans rights are human rights. This is another image that someone made. Oh my goodness. And J.K. Rowling said the following about removing the ladder. High-achieving women who pull up the ladder behind them are owed no fealty from other women. You can be a useful idiot for male cosplayers and cheats, or you can fight to ensure that girls who follow in your footsteps have a fair shot. You can't do both. I mean, I don't really have anything else to add to that. Perfectly said. And one thing I have respected Simone Biles for is for signing up with Athleta and dumping Nike, especially after Nike were found to be discriminating against new mothers. But what's a shame is now people are calling out Athleta. Riley Gaines is saying she will never shop there again. So Jennifer atted Athleta and said, your ambassador Simone Biles bullied Riley Gaines by saying that she should, quote, bully someone your own size, which would ironically be a male, implying Gaines is male because she has muscles. How does this help with your mission of, quote, empowering women and girls? Do you stand by this, Athleta? So it's a real shame that Simone Biles is tarnishing not only her own brand, but other brands as well. And the reason why people are wondering if Simone was put up to this, if Simone is getting paid, it's been alleged, is someone paying her to push this rhetoric and to come against people like Riley Gaines? Now, I don't know about her being paid, but it wouldn't surprise me if she is signaling to those people, look how great I am. I'm standing up for trans athletes, part of my greatness. But one telling thing is that Simone Biles is well aware of the differences between men and women. Even in gymnastics, the women don't do exactly the same thing that the male gymnasts do because they don't have the upper body strength. And unlike USA Today, Simone Biles is well aware that males have advantages, physical advantages, over females. He's well aware of that and has been thankful in the past that we don't have men competing against women, as her old tweets reveal. Whoop. Don't you hate it when your past self completely undermines your current nonsensical argument? How has 2025 Simone reconciled with the fact 2017 Simone was a truly sick bully, quote unquote, by her own standard? And this is what she tweeted in 2017. Good thing guys don't compete against girls, but he'll take all the gold medals. And this is exactly what female athletes have to deal with today. Fast forward 2025. Girls have to watch boys take all the gold medals, take spots on the podium. This is why the CIF recently changed their policy to include the girls, how good of them, so that they don't get spots taken from them and medals taken from them and displaced by male athletes. Still forcing them to compete against male athletes though, aren't they? And they have to share their podium spot now. So in 2017, Simone was against that. Now, we don't know exactly what this tweet is in reference to because the original post has been deleted, but she is clearly acknowledging that boys, if they were to compete against girls, would get all the medals. She's clearly acknowledging that and saying it's a good thing that such boys do not compete in the girls category. It's as clear as day. These people know the truth, but they're gaslighting. or they've decided that gender ideology is more important, and that's what they're going to run with. I don't know why you would risk your legacy, why you would risk tarnishing your legacy over this, and why you would disrespect other female athletes and show disregard for the young girls who don't want to share locker rooms with boys. Rather than using their platform to defend the female category, to defend women's sports, they want girls to invite boys into their category. They're treating it like it is the new civil rights movement, and that is a big fat lie. That is an insult to those who have fought for equality, for Black Americans, for women. It's an absolute insult to compare those movements to men who want to compete in women's sports, to men who want to go into women's bathrooms, to those who are cosplaying women. Be grateful for the opportunities you've been given, be thankful for what you've achieved, and help other young girls go down the same path, rather than cheering and clapping for the boys and men who take that away from them. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.